Hi, my name is Eva Steiner and this is my project Psychotherapists Around the Globe. I am interviewing the psychotherapists around the world and asking them the same 8 questions. I am wondering how mental health profession is in their country. Today we are going to... Thank you for taking this time for doing this interview with me. Before we start, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Thank you for having me. My name is Agnes. I'm from South Africa, of course. I'm a mom, a wife. I'm a professional nurse, and of course, a psychotherapist. I was born and bred in South Africa, KwaZulu-Natal province.
Tell me a little bit about your culture. What is some holiday or tradition that your country celebrates? And if your culture would be an emotion, what emotion would it be?
Let me start by saying South Africa is a great country. It's a beautiful country. It's well renowned for its varied topography and great natural beauty. As a result, it has attracted so many tourists to come and travel. Since the end of the apartheid system that ended in 1994, we've become this destination that tourists have been attracted to. Okay, going to my culture, South Africa is a home to multiple cultures. Maybe I can list a few. Zulu culture, Spedi, Ndebele, Tswana, we've got Xhosa, I've mentioned Ndebele, we've got Sotho, and Hindu as well. I'm mentioning the Hindus and the Muslims, plus Afrikaners. So with these multiple cultures, so it tells us that South Africa is a diverse country. So we learn to live with each other with different cultures. And I think that makes us a stronger nation. So also has been referred to because of these multicultures, we have been referred to as a rainbow nation since 1994. That was the end of the colonial system that we know, the apartheid that was used there. So what this rainbow nation, you know that rainbow stands for multiple colors and all beautiful colors. So we are that one known as the multiple colored nation. Within our cultures, we've got about 11, or let me say 12, because we've added another language, official languages, of which English is a communication, is our media for communication, for schooling purposes as well as for business. And predominantly, Zulu and Xhosa is the most spoken languages among all the cultures. So in that mix, we practice the spirit of Ubuntu within South Africa. So all the cultures, we work together to make things work, to be one thing, to be united. With Ubuntu is a spirit that contends for collectivism as compared to individualism. We work for the community, we support each other, and all of that. Okay, moving to holiday that we celebrate, I'll mention those that have a sentimental value to our country, and because there are so many of them. I'll start by the Freedom Day. The Freedom Day is the one that marks our freedom. That is the end of an apartheid era, which was so devastating at its era because it was affecting everybody. And I do believe that most of our mental health was still struggling with it because of that period, which was really merciless and so inhumane. The Freedom Day is very special to us because it marks the first non-racial election under democracy for the South African. That was 1994. And the second one that I will mention is the Youth Day. We are remembering the youth when we were fighting under apartheid for their freedom in terms of schooling and everything, because they were forced to study at a certain foreign language that was Afrikaans by then. So the youth fought for that, for freedom, and most of them died in the fight. So we always remember that. It is so special to us as well. And then moving on, we've got Heritage Day. Again, is a very important one for us all. Initially, that was celebrated by Zulu people, the Zulu nation, the Zulu tribe, because it marked the death of their founder, that is King Shaka, that founded the Zulu nation and formed it to be a strong nation. So, but then with the introduction of democracy, in trying to include everybody, so it was said, let's make it a heritage day for every culture to celebrate its culture. I'm not going to forget the Women's Day, so special. Women's Day, National Women's Day, for us is in August. So it's where, again, we're facing this system, this monster of a system where the women took to the street to fight against it. So we celebrate every year that women are powerful and they are strong. I think others are just general, like Christmas Day, Easters, and all of that. So maybe I'm not going to mention most of them because there are just so many. If my country was a emotion, what will it be? I had to think very hard about that. It's quite an interesting question. Ultimately, looking at the situation that we're in South Africa and the struggles that we've prevailed on, I will give my country an emotion of joy, happiness, which is funny because we should be people who are always said maybe, who are having resentment because of what happened to the nation. But despite that, South Africans, especially the ethnic group, they are so loving, they are so forgiving. You understand? They are so supportive. We find joy. We celebrate even within our challenges. As you understand, apartheid aftermath won't end up in just few years. It will take some lifetime. It will maybe take generation. But we celebrate all the challenges, whatever we've got, holidays, we love life, we're energetic, more so, as I've said before, was such a forgiving nation. So hence I give it the emotion of happiness.
Okay, let's move to the second question. How did you become a psychotherapist in your country and what is your therapeutic approach?
I'm a professional nurse, a registered professional nurse, and I've been doing this all my life. But there came a time where I developed the interest of psychology. I couldn't resist it. I went on and registered to study a BA degree, that is an undergrad on social sciences, specializing in psychological counseling. Okay, I gained my degree after 3 years, and then I went on to study a post-degree honors degree. After that, I also studied for a B-Psych. A B-Psych that gives you to become a psychotherapist. So again, you have to write the exam board of the health professional of South Africa before you become a psychotherapist. So I did that, obtained my certificate, and then I had to register with HPCA as a psychotherapist as well. And more further, you have to register with the BHF, that is the body for funding, to have a practice number and all of that. So currently, I'm trying to move on to my own practice. Yet, yes, I'm still working for the government as well. I cannot mention one approach and say, hey, this one is it, because it depends upon it's a case by case thing. It depends what is the presenting case at that point in time. So you have to check your weapons, your tools, which tools is fitting such a case. So I can say it's eclectic approach because mostly I'm used to that people-centered approach, CPD, psychodynamic as well. So that's why I'm saying it depends. It's a case by case which approach befits what type of case. So as I'm saying, I take here and there
And how do you get the knowledge of these approaches? Do you go to, like in general in South Africa, do you have like a approach schools, or how do you learn about the approach?
Yeah, we were taught at the university about those approaches. So for us, you have to just to keep yourself up to date and polished. You have to attend certain workshops and also supervision. It does assist you. So you attend workshops as they are being presented and all that. So to keep you up to date. But anyway, we were taught about all of this during our training.
And in general in South Africa, how can you become a psychotherapist? Is this an only way you did it, or there is many other ways you can become a mental health profession?
This is the only way. Or there are other, but you register under different bodies, but this is the way, this is the route to take. Though you may register under the reputable bodies, there are kind of three of them, but I'm registered with HPCSA, that is the Health Profession of South Africa.
And is there any law for psychology or psychotherapy?
Every sector, every industry is regulated. So there are laws under HPCSA. So that's why I'm registered under HPC, because it's the one who determines what should be done and all the requirements and everything. So it's HPCSA, you have to be always up to date with everything. It's being regulated, so there are laws guiding that.
Yeah. Okay, the third question, how society looks upon psychotherapy or any psychological help?
Society, that one is quite a challenge. I think it's the gist, it's that center of everything towards mental health. Because mostly so, Africans, with a look at psychology, they kind of dismissive. I must say, I must be honest, dismissive. They attach it that it is the Western culture. It's not for them. You cannot just sit and talk and then say, oh, my problems are gone. They don't believe in that. So the other thing that is adding more to the difficulty of understanding mental health is the belief system, is the religion. Because Black people or African, I may say, they believe that mental health is kind of a spiritual thing. It's caused by it's either evil spirit or you are cursed or God is punishing you, and all of that sort. So you, as just a psychologist or a person, they believe that the expert who can deal with this is only the traditional healers because they are spiritual experts. So you coming and say talk, no, they don't believe that. So it's because it's their culture, it's their way that they have been taught that this is being treated like this. So it's like that because even things that may complicate the whole thing is because with us in South Africa, with an era of apartheid, psychology, it was only for the white people, you understand. It's only now, post-colonial period, that we are seeing African psychologists or psychotherapists emerging, you understand. So with the white person, when you come to African people, you have to know their culture, you have to know their language, you have to know their tradition, who they are, how do they behave, and all of that, because before you can bring in something new. So if we are going to come with that approach, Western approach, they dismiss it. This is a foreign thing. We're not taking it. We use our own way. And more so, even I've noticed, I'm part of the African, that people who doesn't understand their culture, it kind of they struggle themselves and cause confusion because they just come with, imposing things. You cannot pose things. You have to come and understand the way of life of these people before you can introduce your own intervention, the intervention of psychology or mental health. Africans here, it doesn't matter what you say, but they prefer their traditional healers because they understand they are experts in this spiritual thing. They take it as a spiritual thing. Okay, so the first line defense for them for mental health, traditional healer, before they revert back to the biomedical practices. So you cannot do anything about that. And the government, I think and believe, has realized that you cannot compete with this. So we have to work hand in hand on the parallel. So the traditional healers are now as well kind of regulated, recognized by the government. A meeting of an African psychotherapist, psychologist, and you come and talk their own language. You understand, you acknowledge that you understand their culture. They open up. And I love South Africans because they are eager to learn, they open up because they used to dismiss it to say, this is a white man's disease. You understand? But when I come as an African or somebody who understands their culture, you have studied and learned their culture, they say, oh, she joins us, she understands us. And they are open enough, they take their guards down and then are open to understanding. And they, honestly, I've been getting some reviews to say, wow, we never thought that this talking thing works. Thank you so much. Now you see, they relate to me as if I'm kind of, that's what they're doing in therapy. You can see that they see as if, am I a spiritualist or what? Because it seems as if I'm telling them things that they didn't know that I'm aware of. It's just, I'm just giving them symptoms that 1, 2, and 3, I'm seeing this is depression or stress and all that. So they see it as if we are reading it somewhere, but I explain to them that no, it's something that you study, is how the body works. So I know what is happening because I've studied it. And then now they are opening up, they are even coming more forth and all of that. And we are really struggling with mental health.
What is your society teaching about child-parent relationship, and whether this value of society also influence how you design your interventions as a therapist?
Yeah, it goes back to what has been taught to the children. Because with African, the spirit of Ubuntu prevails. Spirit of Ubuntu encompasses that respect for elder people comes for and foremost. Elder people, your parents are your God here on earth. So there is no way you can dismiss or say anything or answer anything back or dispute anything. As a child, you have just to listen. Often sometimes because of that, it's not easy to reach out to kids because maybe you need a parent to come in and all of that, but the child is not going to tell the parent 1, 2, 3 because it's cultural. You cannot just go directly to your father. You have to go via mother or gogo, that is a grandmother, to talk to your father. You cannot go direct. You understand? So if you don't understand their culture, it will cause confusion. So they are being taught respect for others, working for the community, support each other, collectivism versus as compared to individualism. In African culture, you cannot say you are succeeding alone. So you have failed yourself in saying, oh, voila, I'm fine, I'm rich, I'm a millionaire. Meanwhile, your society, your family is left in poverty. So you must make sure that if you succeed, you must take care of your family and the community alone. So you cannot be an individual and succeed alone. Collectivity. They are also being taught, aside solidarity. And other thing, as they grow as kids from birth up to adulthood, they are taught about how to behave and all that good and bad behaviors, singing songs and all that, and also classification of people by gender and age, because you know that different gender and at different ages they do a certain thing. So at a certain age you are expected to do 1, 2, 3. You cannot be at a certain age and still doing something maybe childish and all of that. With your intervention, it means you have to adapt, modify your tool, and be culture sensitive if you want it to work. Other than that, it's going to be dismissed because you are telling them to defy their community, to defy their Ubuntu practices, to go against their family values, to go against their family tradition. So you should know first what is going on. You should study. You should even try and speak their language, because if you speak their language, say, oh, it is really interested in us, rather than if you know it's the English and all of that. So they dismiss, no, this one is not part of us. So definitely, to answer your question, according to the culture, you must know the culture so that you modify your tools or your intervention accordingly. If you want to speak to the mom, how do I access the mom? Which way I use, what systems I use by society to deal with issues? And then you can modify it from that angle.
If an adult client would come to you and say, I don't want to see my parents anymore, I want to cut contact with them, how would the culture look upon such a request, and how would you approach as a therapist?
So with that, I don't want to see my parents. I didn't want to see anything. It's trying to say there's something wrong with the family, because so if a person comes from the family and say that something is very wrong, so you need to kind of work with that patient. Is there somebody that you can talk with within the family structure? You understand? Who can I talk with the way as you are feeling as a patient? What was gone wrong? There are other people you meet you in the family. You find that there is a father, there are uncles, there are aunties, there are grannies. So, is there somebody that we can talk to, relate to? Because you should first exhaust their system before you introduce an external. You start within and you go out. You cannot just start out and come in. Even the family is going to reject you. How dare you bring a stranger within the family issues? Because that's what they are taught. You cannot tell anyone about your issues. You should discuss issues within the family. We start with the family before you move to the community. And community, most of the time, they say the family must handle their own issues. So if they've done use their own family system, I mean, there are systems in the community. There are indunas, people who are looking after the community. If that patient say that you have exhausted within the family, so you can move out now to the induna. There's people that are looking out for the community. So you talk to them after this and this and this. But of course, you have to agree with the patient. You have to get the patient's consent. But they know that they have got indunas and amakosi, I mean the chiefs out there in the community. Because they will even, if you come in as a psychotherapist, you're a foreigner. So they won't accuse that particular person because you have tried, you have exhausted their system. And then now what the stranger can come in because we have exhausted, I mean, the resources within the system within. So that no one is going to get punished or and all of that resentment.
What are the learned beliefs regarding client-therapist relationship, and can the relationship continue outside the therapy once the therapy process is over?
Most of the patients, I believe that they are used to medication or treatment from doctors, from traditional healers, that you are going to hand them something. You're going to say, here is something, take this tablet or whatever 3 times a day or once a day. But now when they come to therapy, you talk. There is nothing that is going to be given to you except that you talk your emotion and your feelings and all of that. So most of the time, they sit there and wait for you to tell them what to do. Meanwhile, with psychotherapy, as you know, we cannot do that. We have to guide them. So this is the belief that I need to be told what to do. As a result, most of the time, they don't participate in their therapy. As you're going to give them some homework, that activity to do at home to work around the issue. Most of them will never come back because they don't want to do anything. They want to be just passive, and you tell them what to do, hoping that the problem will go away. Meanwhile, as I've said before, psychotherapy, you have to do the work. And most of the time, you have got the answers. The client has got the answers. But what I do most of the time, I explain here, as we speak here, I'm not doing things for you. We are working in this together. You do your part, I do my part. As with an initial session, I introduce that there will come a time, if that the case may be, that you have to do your homework. I'll give you activities to do at home, and it's assisting us to solve the problem. I'm also having my own homework. So we have to work together. And I tell the patient that you are the leader, you are leading me. And that kind of confuses them, and it kind of gives them some power. Oh, yeah, I'm the leader here, I'm powerful here, and all of that. Most of the time, that is the belief that they've got in the session. And then the second one, they believe, because now they are kind of understanding what I've noticed, they think, as I said before, you are a spiritualist in a way, because you are able to tell them, the symptoms, signs and symptoms of what is happening. They used to believe to say, are you a spiritualist? I would say no. It's things that we know about, we've been trained about. Because you come and tell them about what is happening in their body. They think you are a fortune teller or whatever, a medium and all of that. But we have to educate them that now we study this thing, we know what is going on. And for me, it's very effective because I'm coming from a nursing side, so I know with the physiology of the body and everything, it helps a lot. It's working. I'm saying I'm able to give that holistic, total care of my client.
And the second part, once the therapy is over, so the client is finished with the therapy, can you continue the relationship in a form of friendship or even love relationship? So what are the rules here?
So you cannot continue a session outside, because that will compromise professionalism. That will compromise confidentiality. That will compromise ethics of the therapy. So it's not allowed. With Love Life, I know with our guidelines from HPCSA, is saying that at least after 2 years, then thereafter you can maybe start a romantic relationship. Other than that, no. So it cannot continue until a certain period with a romantic one.
Okay, the sixth question, is supervision a must for a therapist in your country?
Definitely, most definitely. The supervision, it plays a pivotal role in therapy, because supervision is where experienced therapists are able to guide, the novice therapist. Even without being a novice therapist, there are times that you meet challenging cases. You need somebody to assist you, to guide you. You come across dilemmas in therapy. So you need somebody. You need somebody with you to share the mind, to shed some light. It helps for clinicians, therapists, to reduce stress, to assist them to acquire more skill to self-develop, because with a challenging area, it gives you experience and equip you with more skill. It helps to, as I've said, to reduce stress. Some cases are so stressful, you understand? So it can lead to burnout. So we reduce all of that through supervision for the therapist. And with the client also, for the sake of the client, if a therapist is being supervised, you cannot do as anyhow. You remain professional and ethical. And then it helps for the client to get an effective treatment that is befitting, because you are being supervised. So the patient is safe. More than anything, the patient is safe because it's handled with knowledge and everything.
But it's also a must by a law, in a sense, or it's just like a personal ethical choice?
It's not here in South Africa. It's not a personal choice. It's a must that you must have supervision, regardless if how you have done therapy. Each and everyone, you need somebody to talk to. Even with your self-care, you need somebody to talk to offload, to take stress away, to do catharsis and all of that. Cases are challenging, and these things they get to you. They erode your morale and all of that. So you need somebody to talk to, and that is somebody supervising you.
Yeah. Okay, the seventh question. What are the most common complaints that a client comes to therapy for?
You know, South Africa has been lagging behind, I think, even the African countries. I don't know about other countries. This is a long overdue service that is mental health, psychology, psychotherapy. And it's a service that is ignored, kind of, I would say that. Because you see, government policies, they are so beautiful, they are so good, but they are never implemented. So Africans are suffering with, they end up with medical issues, diseases, hypertension, diabetes, and all, name them all, cancer, you can say. Because of these unresolved issues, they move a long way. It's because of culture, and most of the time, mental health is on the back seat. So as now we're coming to the mental health is coming to the fore, we still need to do a lot to create awareness. We need to do a lot because people now are coming out. Even if they don't say so, I meet them as I work. When you ask the person has been coming in and out of the clinic for the longest with no proper diagnosis because it's mental issues. So the most issues that I come across is a mixed bag. One and foremost, stress. Is acute stress or chronic stress. And then the mood disorder. Because of these stressors that are not handled, they complicate and become major depression and end up in anxiety. So people, they come in with panic disorders, anxiety, and then other thing, grief and bereavement. South Africa, yeah, people are so, sometimes I think it's the morale is eroded because of the hardship, economic factors and all of that. So people are so violent sometimes. So there's this killing sometimes that goes on and left, right, and center. So most of the people are grief. So they come in for counseling with grief and bereavement. And other thing is the GPV. GPV is on the loose, especially among the young ones. Suicide, parasuicide, kids of these days are so suicidal. At any given moment, they cannot stand hardship. So the only answer they've got is killing, suicide, or killing the next person. So you get a lot of these traumas. So emotional traumas, I feel a lot of them, especially depression and anxiety because of unresolved stressors, acute and chronic stressors. Anger issues. Oh, anger issues. No, people are so angry. I think again it boils back to the hardship economically. Economical, we are not doing well worldwide. Everybody's suffering, and after COVID-19, things went spiraled down because COVID took the jobs and everything, and you know, finances. People are so unstable. So it's a lot of mental issues after the aftermath of COVID-19. Or substance abuse as well. People, they don't deal with problems. They resort to alcohol and drugs. So it's a lot of that. It's a lot.
And would you say, is there any collective trauma?
The anger issues, it passes from generation to generation because of the trauma. You killed my father, you killed my brother. So the anger will go on and on and on, and even to the kids, because the kids are gonna witness this anger, gonna live with this anger, and then it affects them as well. So it becomes a trend, it becomes generational. Anger issues, you need to deal with these anger issues because they're gonna affect your generation down the line because it becomes a trend, an ongoing. an ongoing problem if you don't put a stop to it through therapy. And it can be done. It's difficult if it has happened for years, because you find that most of the time, people, they come in with issues because of the traumas that happened while they were kids, they were children. So that's where comes in psychodynamic approach there. So you find out what happened, you find that there is this ongoing trauma since a person was a child, and it keeps on going on and on, generation and generation.
If you would share one tool, belief, or approach that is a must-have for you as a therapist, what would that be?
Being non-judgmental, being neutral. That person eventually opens up because you are not judging. They come into to your practice, to your therapy. They have judged themselves. What am I going to say to this stranger? Is he going to judge me or what? And all of that. But if you remain that neutral, you are giving them power to say, oh, nobody's judging me. So gradually, their guards calm down gradually. By the second session, I promise you that person is able to open up. So if you remain non-judgmental and empathetic towards the client, for me, I've seen it working wonders. Remain non-judgmental, because of people, that's what they fear the most. You know, you come in with mental health, oh, you have been cursed or what not, and all of that, such things, you understand. So remain non-judgmental, and your client will get healed. I can say, because I've witnessed that. I know it works for me and my client. And empathy,